Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Looks Like We Made It. I'm Issy and I'm joined by Managing Director and Creative Industry Expert Chris to talk all things video marketing. We are the father and daughter who run the video production company Howell Film, and we help everyone achieve amazing results with the power of video across all platforms and media, including TV, in a professional, creative and engaging way. Couple this with a clear video marketing strategy that puts target audiences first, your campaign is guaranteed to deliver. We're always up for candidly conversing about creativity. On this episode, we are joined by Paula from Smartbee Business and are answering the question, how do I drive sales conversations from my marketing content? So without further ado, let's get started, and of course never miss an episode every other Tuesday by giving us a follow or subscribe, as well as finding Howell Film on Instagram and LinkedIn. Let's go.
Let's go. Well, like I say, hello, welcome Paula.
Thank you very much.
Like I say at the beginning of everyone, why don't we just record that intro? And I like the fact that our guest laughs when you say Chris is the industry expert. That's a concern. Welcome Paula.
Thank you.
Yeah, it used to just be Dad, and then you made me change it.
Exactly.
So hi Paula, how are you?
Hi there, I'm fine, thank you. And thank you very much for inviting me on your podcast.
Absolutely. So what is it that you do at Smartbee Business?
Lots of things. I'm a sales consultant and I help other businesses to get predictable and repeatable sales. I do that by looking at all of their sales processes and looking at the way that they work around sales, how they think about sales and what their sales skills are.
Amazing. Yeah, so that's how we ended up kind of getting in discussion, I suppose, as well, because we had some support in terms of our sales.
We had some brilliant support.
It was
Although
fantastic.
I think we were a lost cause though, weren't we?
You were not a lost cause. You were doing so many good things.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, that's it. It's because it's really good to kind of take those sales conversations out of just marketing, because they are very different, aren't they?
Yeah, they are very different, yeah. Marketing's all about attracting people, but sales conversations are all about getting them right on side with you.
Fantastic. Okay, so the big question then I've got is, how do I drive sales conversations from my marketing content? So what would you class as a sales conversation?
I think any conversation you have with a potential customer is a sales conversation. Any conversation you have with them. It's just a conversation with a purpose. Your purpose, their purpose when they realise. Yeah.
Okay, so what about those people who always say, I don't like being sold to, I'm not interested in that, and all those people who are very kind of, the shutters are already down? How would you get across to them?
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, nobody likes being sold to. Nobody likes being sold to. But everybody loves buying, don't they? Yeah. So
Definitely.
It's just about approaching it in a conversation. Just a conversation. It's like going into a party and chatting to people. It's a conversation, and you ask them about them and you find out about them.
Fantastic.
That's the answer then.
Yeah, that's it. That's the answer.
Don't go home now. That's great.
Yeah. So, in terms of like driving a sales conversation, so not sales, we're not sort of talking about here's this, buy that kind of stuff. We're talking about entering into a discussion with a prospective client, a current client, whatever. So your marketing is a door opening tool. Would that be a good analogy?
That's a really good way of describing it. It is. It's a door
opening. So the marketing's
opening.
the taxi that gets you to the party, and it's the door that opens into the party, but then you're selling. Or then you're then you're having a discussion.
Then
That's
you're having
very good.
a conversation with
Write
a purpose.
that down.
Yeah, it's a really good way of describing it, actually.
Yes.
That is a good way. I'm going to write that down, definitely.
Excellent.
It's certainly that thing about if you're talking to a room of people, that marketing is talking to a whole host of people, and there are some people in there that are going, yeah, me, and sticking their hand up, that's me. That's what I'm thinking. And those are the people that you get into conversations with, and you develop that, and then that's how it ends up in sales. Yeah.
Are there any absolute in sales, in sort of like engaging people in this conversation? Is there some absolute no-nos? Is there as a professional sales consultant? Is there anything you think, oh no, don't say that, don't do that? Is there anything? Give our listeners a golden nugget of don't do's.
Like on a first date, you don't ask them if they'll marry you, do you? You kind of find out a little bit more about them first. So going straight in for the kill, going straight into telling them about what you do and how much you've made in the last year and how they couldn't possibly do without you and they need your product, that's the no-no. Yeah, it's about them. It's never about you. It's always about them.
I like it. So who pays the bill at the end?
What, at the first date? Well, you see, that's an interesting one, isn't it? I suppose if you were sort of lining that up with a sales conversation, you might set the expectations at the beginning. How are we going to do this? Do you think we should split the bill? Or I tell you what, why don't we make it my treat this time and it can be your treat if there's a next time?
I like it, because then if you say it's their treat next time, then you're sort of opening the door to another date.
Absolutely.
Having on to dates.
Well, neither of us are experienced in that area.
So that's the thing to definitely not do. So what's the flip side to definitely do?
The do-dos are just be yourself, be personable. It's about using your own personality, just exactly the same as if you were meeting somebody in a party. Like, oh, have you been here before? This is brilliant, isn't it? Gosh, this music's great. So what sort of music do you like? Oh, can I get you a drink? I'm getting a cocktail. Do you want a cocktail as well? Oh, God, you only do beer, right? No problem. I think there's some beer on the table. I'll get you some. So it's finding out where they're coming from, what they're interested in, what their challenges are, what their aspirations are, what they're looking for.
I love the fact that our business to business podcast is now all about everything to do with drinking, isn't it? And it's the party analogy.
It was bound to happen.
Yeah, I like it.
So in terms of, what about those people when people have got social media platforms, when they've got content that they put out there, say on Instagram or Facebook or whatever it may be, and they get the same people liking their stuff and they get people interacting with their stuff that they're putting online, there's that initial feeling of, oh, I don't want to annoy them if they seem to be liking what I'm doing, but they don't ever seem to want to talk to me. They just want to engage with what I'm doing. How do you get them from that space into actually wanting to have a conversation with you?
I think that is a difficult one. It's not a straightforward one. I think that it's great when they like your posts and things like that, but engaging, that's the key part of it. That's the start of the relationship, and you're building a relationship with them. So you have to sort of go at their pace a little bit at the beginning till you get a feel for it. But then I think you need to start offering them some help as well. So when they're engaging with you, you can say, obviously, I don't know what your engagement is or what question you may have posed to them, but something like, oh, that's brilliant. I'm glad you liked that. That was really interesting. And, I've also got some XYZ stuff that you might find interesting. Shall I pop you a DM, or shall I get in contact? And would you like me to send it to you? Or something that just asks them to do something just a little bit more. It's a call to action, really. It's, we've been chatting online a little bit and I just want to take you to the next stage now and see if it's worth it for both of us to work together.
Okay. So, how do you make your sale? And this is going to be a big question that I'm just going to jump in with. How do you make your sales predictable? What things should you put in place as an organisation to make that kind of like sales pipeline? See, I know the right words. To make that a predictable, understandable thing. What are the measures that you should have in place?
Well, I think with predictable, you're right. It's tough. It's tough out there, and I think pipelines are important. And a pipeline is all about getting people who are interested to come into your world, to start coming into your orbit. I think that pulling them further and further along is key, and being able to, once you get certain people closer to you, more interested in you, to not stop there, but to continue pulling more people into your pipeline. So as you get busy, you still need to be even busier on your marketing and your sales and all of your content and all the things you do to engage people, because everybody's at a different stage in their journey, and it will only be predictable. It will only smooth out when you've got the next person waiting in line all the way for you coming through. So as you complete a contract or a transaction with somebody, very soon there's another person actually ready to the next stage ready. Maybe a few months ago they weren't, but they are now.
I think that's a real challenge. I mean, it has been a challenge for our business in the past, where you're so focused on the projects that's in hand. You're so focused on doing a great job. You're so focused on keeping the customer happy while you're working on that project that you naturally lose focus on the stuff that's going to happen in the future. Yeah. And it's only when that, as you say, that project's finished and gone and everyone's happy that you go, oh, blimey, what we're going to do now. What we're going to do now.
Yeah.
And I think that's a real lesson that takes some, it works like anything. It takes time to actually change the way you approach business, the philosophy around business. That is I'm happy to admit that was something that we've had to change and we've had to adapt to. So I think
it's any any kind of where when you're doing the work as well as promoting the work, that's where that can become a little bit blurred, and that's where you can end up with the kind of up and down sales that sort of, you know, I'm waving my hand to show
the roller
it.
coaster of sales,
Yeah.
and I think the roller coaster effect is really hard for businesses to then, you know, make decisions moving forward because they don't know when the next big sales coming in, and that is a fact of life. That is really hard across all businesses. But I think smoothing that roller coaster out gives you an ability to plan. It helps you to know what's coming, and it helps you block out your diary for the next 2 or 3 months so that you know what. Like, for example, in a small business, you really need to know who's taking holiday when. But you also need to know what's coming in, so you're covering the work. And it is hard, Chris. I think that bit where you're busy and you're focused on your clients and the work that you're doing on the current contract, and that's great. It's, you know, that's what you need to do. You do need to focus on what you're doing for your clients, but somewhere in there you have to allocate some time to still be marketing, ready, you know, and still be engaging on social media and all the things, you know, networking, in person, online, all of the things that bring business to you step by step by step, bit by bit, because you need that in there. You know, because when your contract is finished, you do need something next. And you do have to be able to plan. That's what makes it repeatable. It makes it predictable, is the smoothness of it. But all the work that you put in, you know, and you have to allocate that time. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing when, particularly smaller businesses, when they're managing their own marketing and they're sort of navigating it, you know, alone, it's something that if you spend hours and hours delivering a product or a service to a client, that's your priority. But obviously, you know, it's what's coming after that. It's keeping that momentum going, I suppose, isn't it?
It is, and I think particularly for someone like single business owners or people where there's maybe only a couple of people running the business, and they're the technical experts at what they do, so they have to be the ones delivering. That's really tough. But you know, a rule of thumb from a sales perspective is you should spend 40% of your time getting new business, marketing, pulling people into your world, engaging with them, going networking, all of those things. 40% of your time should be spent delivering your current contracts, and probably something like 20% of your time should be spent just doing that other business stuff like admin and, you know, just keeping on top of things, keeping things straight in your business.
They're incredible numbers, aren't they, really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. So another question. You might have to cut that.
It's all right. We're quizzing you this time. Are you feeling grilled yet?
Yeah, I feel very grilled.
Do you feel grilled?
I feel grilled.
You can ask us questions.
I feel grilled, but I don't want barbecue sauce.
No. So what I was going to say is I was going to ask a question about when you're selling, because a number of people say, oh, it's just a numbers game. It's just a numbers game. You just have to. You know, you've got to ring 1,000 people and eventually one will say yes or whatever. Do you think that nowadays, where you can get to know your potential customer a lot more readily, in terms of LinkedIn and lots of other information that's available, is it better to spend more time targeting the right people than going down the I've got a big elephant gun and I'm going to just fire it and see what sticks? What's the current philosophy on these matters?
I have to say that is a bit of a tough question, Chris, to be fair, because at the end of the day, first of all, it is a numbers game, and you know, whether you really can't get around that. You know, for if you think about you know, any marketing you do online, you know, for 100 people who see that, maybe one of them is somebody who's thinking, I'm at that stage where I might just pick the phone up to that company. They sound really good. And you might have 2 or 3 of them who are thinking, I might just keep watching these and see what they do. So there's definitely a numbers element to that, you know, and you need to get your reach and you need to be engaging with a lot of people to find those few that are at that stage. But by the same token, you can also target much more readily now in terms of the right people for you. But you still have to get leads to then qualify those leads. So you still have to be engaging with a lot of people before you then find out the people who are interested, actually, are they right for you? Are you right for them? And then you move into narrowing it down even more. Yeah. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Was I sitting on the fence there? Was I giving you a bit of both there?
No. Yeah, I mean, I'm just surprised how wide you've got to spread your net. This is not unique to filmmaking or media or marketing or anything. It's any organisation. Just how wide you have to sort of spread that net, and how many I'm going to go fish. I'm going to go down.
There's a lot of metaphors coming from you today.
You got to have a big net to catch a few fish.
You do. That's really interesting. It's a really good metaphor because think of it like this. Yeah, you do need a big net to actually catch a few fish. But if you're fishing, I don't know if you watch Mortimer and Whitehouse.
Oh, brilliant.
They are so funny, aren't they?
That's great.
But actually, they have to have the right bait to catch a particular kind of fish. They have to have the right line or the right technique in the right place. So you need to be really, really clear who your customers are. So when you go fishing, you're fishing in the right ponds or you're fishing in the right river with the right bait to start with.
I feel like I need to brush up on my fishing knowledge as well,
I've got a
because
theory about Whitehouse and Mortimer's fishing,
Have
which
you?
I'll be very brief here. Only that when we were kids, like on Blue Peter, it was they used to go on holiday and have pets. For one, I don't know why I'm laughing, but they did. They used to like go on holidays and have pets, particularly sort of if you're from the sort of 60s and 70s. And it was always for people who didn't have pets. So they'd have the pet and then you'd like join in on a night time and you'd see their pet. I think that Mortimer and Whitehouse, it's friends for middle-aged men.
Oh God, yeah, that's really.
That's what I think. You watch it and you just think,
Yeah.
I just think I'm just one of their mates.
Yeah, well, actually, that's exactly how it is. Yeah, you watch them and you just think, it's just two middle-aged blokes having a breeze, isn't it? Just having a laugh, saying stupid stuff.
That's my theory. I think you just like one of their mates.
You just feel like you've just bobbed along for the afternoon with them. Yeah,
so hopefully like our podcast, so people think we're two middle-aged blokes having a great time. But it's true.
Let's get on message. Come on.
I was going to say, where were we? I think it's obviously something that when you work, because we work in marketing, we don't work in sales essentially, and often we talk a lot about getting results and results and results. But what are those results in your opinion? Is that a conversation? Is that a lead? Is that a meeting? Or is that someone literally just buying there and then?
Well, it's all of those things.
Oh, brilliant!
So that's really good. Yeah, it's that part of if it's a complex sale that you're helping someone to do with the marketing that you do. If it's going to be something complex, then it is all of those things. It's like for those people who are just starting out, it's like having them come back to visit that website, that business. Or it's if they're further down the line, it's reinforcing that they're making the right decision by considering that company. If they're really close to buying, it's making a purchase or, asking for a demo or, whatever it is, getting into a much deeper relationship with that company. So, yeah, it's all of those things because it's where that customer happens to be at the time. The difference with something like a business-to-business kind of business is that you're probably getting a more complex, there's more levels to it, there's more people involved. If it's something in a shop and you're selling, let's say you're selling a lovely smelly candle in a shop, that's much more transactional. That's a very short thing. You want them, if you do an advert for them, this is the shop, it's brilliant, why don't you come and see our candles? And the customer looks and thinks, yeah, I'll do that. And they go in and they see the candle and they smell it, they think it's great. They go to the cash desk and they say, I'll have that candle. So that's a very short sales cycle. So that's what you're wanting. You're wanting that, the point of that marketing is to get people through the door. And then when they're in there, they like to buy something because the cost it's a low cost item in general. It's a straightforward sale. So that would be the answer there. Does that have I gone round by the house?
No, that was
apart from
amazing.
you missed the bit out where they get while they're in the shop, they look on Amazon to see if the same candle's available for threepence. Somewhere else, and the poor shopkeeper's going, oh, hang on, I'm stood here, I can sell it to you right now.
Well, and if the shopkeeper's really good, then when that person comes in, they'll give them really good customer service. The shop will be laid out in a way that's conducive to that person wanting a candle and wanting to buy there and then. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more than just being purely transactional, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's more
it
about
is. There's
the
more
experience as a whole.
Yes, the experience.
So another question, as you hear, I'm just going to turn this into like a
He's got a list.
consultancy session.
Oh, no.
So I just wanted to touch on kind of language and tone, because how important is it that say like when you go to a website and you read the blurb and you think, oh, they're quite interesting, or I like the style of their wording, or whatever it might be, or you've had a conversation with someone in the organisation or whatever. But then actually, when you're talking to the sales team or the sales people, how important is it that message is consistent across the board.
I think it's crucial.
Yeah.
That's the straightforward answer. It's crucial because that's like saying that's somebody's seen something and they like it, and when they go to buy it, it's something completely different. So straight away the warning bells are there. Everything has to make sense. The words and the music have to go together. Everything has to be a story. It has to fit together, and it has to make the buyer feel that they're every step of the way, yep, that's the right thing. Yeah, that person is exactly what I thought they'd be.
Yeah, I suppose I was kind of labouring the point, or my point. What I suppose, like, because sometimes it can work against you, can't it? Because sometimes you can see something, God, that's going to be amazing, and then you make contact or you get involved in it, and you think, oh, it doesn't quite live up to the marketing and the hype. Whereas then go the other way, you think, I'm not sure about that, and then you have a conversation with someone, a salesperson or someone in the organisation, and you go, oh, actually, that's really quite cool, and really quite, it's better than I thought. It's raised my expectations. So I think there's almost like there's a real fine art, isn't there, to getting everything on point, getting it right.
Yeah.
I don't know where I was taking that, but
it's important. It's important to cover all bases, and I think that, like, it's rather than, because we talk about how when we first started out, how we had like presence on every platform all the time, and there was that pressure to be on that all the time and be everywhere all the time, when actually what it really boiled down to was the places where people were actually listening. It's not so much about just being there for the sake of it. It's about being a bit more focused and a bit more targeted. So I think I get where you're going with that.
You can feel free to edit me out.
No, that's fine.
I think, just to pick up on that, Chris, actually, it's quite an interesting view as well, because that's a bit like, the marketing was so fantastic and everything was great, and when you got there you were disappointed. Then that kind of means that the seller, the people who are doing, the marketing of that company, they need to think, have we over-promised there and we cannot deliver that? In which case they need to look at that, or they need to step up and match the impression that they're giving their customers. And as you said, the flip side of that is, if the marketing's a bit lackluster, if it feels like, well, it's okay, I'll maybe have a look, but then when they speak to somebody, they think, wow, yeah, this is really good. That shows that a good person working well can outdo their own marketing in a way.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give you an example. That we had I had cause to speak to our insurance company about a very specific thing, and I was dreading it because it was a bit technical, and actually, the lady I spoke to was absolutely fantastic. She said, yeah, I understand what it is you're trying to do. I understand what you need to do. It needs to be a short-term thing. I won't bore you with what it was. She goes, yeah, leave it with me. I'll sort that. Email popped in my inbox within about 5 minutes, all sorted out. And then she called back a few days later to make sure everything was okay.
Brilliant.
And it was like, and what that was my point. My point was that my point of contact within that organisation was incredible.
Yeah,
and
really
but my expectation was that it would be terrible. And I had a similar conversation with a friend of mine the other day who said his energy company was amazing because they answered the phone. And that's where we're at as a nation. Not getting political in this podcast, where not being rubbish
defined as good.
Defines you as good. But isn't that interesting that an organisation answering the phone is now deemed wow, that's a positive thing?
Yeah, I mean, what would you say for those industries that are trying to sell, but they know that what they're selling is maybe something that is considered something that people get annoyed by, or it's considered a chore having to deal with, like in insurance or energy or these kind of companies that you have
to have those.
Yeah, those necessity-based industries. How do you think that their approach should be sales-wise, or people that just go, oh no, I'm not fancy enough, I'm not flashy enough, I'm not this and that?
Sorry, I'm going to jump in. Before you answer that, just to finish off my thrilling insurance story.
Yeah, okay,
my other point was I won't look elsewhere. Because to save 20 quid or whatever they did such a good job at that particular thing that we needed within the business for a short period of time.
So they've done a fantastic job at retaining you as a customer and making you feel that you've made all the right decisions by going with them.
I'm not going to look elsewhere from a 50p off or whatever.
So what it shows, and this is probably the answer, is that you can be so good in terms of your interpersonal skills and your sales conversations, and you can make people feel really good about themselves and what they're doing, and you can nice up a very boring product or service, and that will help people to feel better about having to do that have-to-do thing.
Yeah, that's it.
And again, retain them as customers.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry, you can carry on now.
No, I don't have any testimonials for any other companies to throw in there, but no, it's true though, and I think that the whole kind of concept of having to, I suppose you don't want to be one of those companies that people feel like they have to deal with, I suppose, but we get sometimes we're approached by businesses who, you know, we're all colourful, whiz bang, creative, fun, woohoo kind of people, and then some businesses go up to us, oh well, I'm too boring or I'm not exciting enough for this, and often we have to then change their perception on how they look and how they feel about themselves in order to just go out, because I think some businesses struggle with confidence. Is that true? Can we agree, disagree?
I think so. I think that everybody gets excited about something. You know, I think that, you know, there are very few things that don't have followers of some description. So you know, I think that I think there's room for everybody. But I think the key thing is just, you know, from a sales perspective, just identifying who those somebodies are. Yeah,
absolutely. And then being really, really good with those people. Yeah. Really letting them know that you're the person to come to, your company's right. Yeah, you know, and if it means, you know, from a marketing perspective, you said there, Izzy, you know, you're very creative people, and you might work with companies where it's not traditionally a creative product or service, but actually it's great if you can put something creative around it, because first of all, it'll stand out as being different and it'll attract attention, and then people are more likely to think, oh, well, they're a bit quirky, a bit different, let me try them. And if that's backed up with excellent customer service and people being really good with you as a customer, then you're more likely to go with them.
That's it, because I think so. Here's a question then, because we're grilling you today. So the question is that, so say a company does a service or sells a product to that customer, and they had a great experience, everyone's happy, all delivered, they go away with their product or service, and everyone just is happy, they got paid, all is well, and then at that point, that customer is still engaging with them on social media because they go, oh, I like them, I had a great time with them, I had a great experience, so they like their stuff, they maybe comment on their stuff. How do you as a business then get them back in as a repeat customer if all is well and all is doing good and everyone's happy? Because I find sometimes with that on social media, where we've worked with clients in the past, maybe a couple of years ago, who still do genuinely engage with our stuff and they still interact and they're excited by what we do, but it's about getting them back at the start of that sales process. Like, how would you maybe approach those people?
I think you've got to have planned ahead and thought ahead. So when you engage with those people as a contract, as a, you know, to work together, to do work together is about every step of the way checking that everything's all right. And if it turns out that it is all right the way that it's gone, before you completely finish with the contract, you need to be suggesting ways that they can continue to work with you on different projects. And, you know, it's all about loyalty, and they've had a good time. So work with them, ask for testimonials, ask them if they've got other people they know who would benefit from this kind of thing. Keep following, you know, keep engaging with them on social media, but also offer them special deals, special things. So if you've got a new product or a new service, or you want to try something out with a customer and they've already been a good customer and you've had a good experience, the pair of you, then I would go to them and say, look, you know, I'm just checking back in with you. Just want to let you know we've got a new product, but actually we'd love to try it with you first. And you've been one of our great customers. We worked so well together. You know, we'd love it if you could just test this for us or give us your opinion or your feedback. And then that way you're saying, you know, you're still part of our gang. Come back in and help us again.
Yeah, like bringing them back in.
Yeah, I mean, also people have different perceptions of time, don't they? That, you know, we get clients that say, this is really urgent, I don't think you'll be able to do it. And you say, when do you need it by? And it's 6 weeks' time. You think, well, yeah, no, like really urgent is 6 hours, you know.
Yeah.
But then you get other clients that might have a project done with us every 5 years, and they're still as valid, and they're still as. But what we got,
they're still your loyal customers.
They're still our loyal customers,
Yeah.
but they don't. You know, 1, 2, 5 years, it does happen. But the crucial thing for us is to still be on their radar
Absolutely.
when they do come back, and they do, and we haven't just disappeared, and you know, the back of the filing
And that's entirely
cabinet.
down to you to keep that contact up, to keep the touch points in place, to keep writing to them, just to let you know we're still here, and actually we've got some new stuff in the pipeline, and we'll let you know as soon as we know. How are you? Are you happy with this? Look, is it possible for us to do a quick still of what we did with you now? I know it was 5 years ago, but we really want to show the people how good it was, and so it's that. Keep engaging with them. You don't have to be in their inbox or picking up the phone every 3 days, but you have to have some regularity and consistency to it.
Because it's incredible, isn't it? When you bump into, you know, you perhaps bump into a client socially and you haven't seen them for ages, and they say, "Oh, I'm glad I bumped into you. I've got this project."
Yeah.
And you think, you know, why you could have
must
rung
be
me?
fate,
You could
isn't
have rung me in the week, but that's great. Let's talk about it now. But that's not uncommon as well. So
yeah, and things can crop up from the strangest places, and yeah. So in terms of driving sales conversations from your marketing content, what do we think?
just keep at it.
Yeah, definitely keep at it. Keep engaging with people. Keep reaching out to them. Keep asking them to do things for you. They might not be ready, but they will at some point.
I like that.
And don't take no personally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I do.
To be fair, I mean, I know we're laughing, but actually that's a key thing. Really don't. It's not about you. It's about them. You have no idea. When they don't answer your call or they don't get back to you after 2 days and you expected them to, there's no point in going off in a rut and panicking because you don't know what's happening at their end. You don't know anything.
And that's it. And I think particularly for smaller businesses that, you know, you put your heart and soul into it. It's everything that you do, isn't it? It's who you are. And then when someone ghosts you or whatever, it's just, it's easy to have a cry, but you know, it's good to
cry.
but don't. Thank you, Paul. Okay, so my last question, because obviously I always end on a stupid question at the end of every podcast, and I've actually thought of this one, which is, well, I say that and I've forgotten it. No, so give me a time where you've bought something really silly that you just, you know, just something really stupid that you get and it arrives and you think, why did I buy that? What was I thinking? And you were swept up in the hype. And you just bought it.
Gosh,
or it could have been something,
isn't it?
Or maybe you had one too many and you bought something. Or...
I could at this point I could reference my best mate Mike.
Okay.
Who bought a pair of really cheap branded shoes, and they turned up and they were children's ones because he got the sizing wrong. Personally, I think it's tech with me that I think is going to change my life. Things like, you know,
fancy new gadgets,
and they're just rubbish. I think I did get I got a lit up magnifying glass once with a torch in it.
I remember that.
Because no one actually points out that if you're doing fine screwdriver work, you don't need to be using both hands to hold your big magnifying glass, because then you can't work your screwdriver. So with me, it's silly cheap gadgets, you know, like the thing you put on your knee for your laptop that's got
air conditioning
fans built in.
Oh yeah.
But just like, what's that for? Yeah, but that would be me.
Okay.
The ropey cheap tech.
Okay, I like it. What about you, Paula?
I have to say, I am a lady after your own heart. Ropey cheap tech, actually, yeah. Or I see something, and invariably it's on a Facebook ad, I have to say.
Yeah.
Late at night, scrolling through before I switch the light off. I know you're not supposed to look at Facebook and devices late at night, but I do. And then the most recent thing I bought was, and actually it's not a silly thing. So let's be honest, it's not a silly thing. It's 4 different light bulbs. It's 4 light bulbs, and they're on cords, and you pull them, and the battery operated, and the light comes on. And I thought, these would be fantastic out on the deck at night, sitting there drinking late on. We'll just pull the cord and the light will come on. They're really stylish and they're great. And I put a battery that I happened to have for something else in one of them and went, oh, that looks really good. And that's it. And now I've just hung them around a hook in my office and just hanging there, these coloured cords with light bulbs with no batteries in. I've never used them on the deck. I've never done anything with them.
Oh, that's it. Well, I mean, mine would probably be... me and my husband tend to buy lots of stupid exercise gear on Amazon. So like things that we're convinced will stop us from going to the gym. Like we got a Stairmaster type thing that was really squeaky, so it sounded like you're stepping on like...
You live in a 3-story house. Why don't you just go down the stairs?
That's it. There is that. But then also like I've bought one of those hula hoop things. I've done all that. And then the best one I think was when my husband went to propose, he thought he would be doing so at night, and he ordered, because he got so swept up in it, he ordered a ring box that like lit up the ring when he opened up the ring box. And when it arrived, he didn't use it, and he showed me afterwards. And when he opened it up, and it was like a beam, like an LED light that blasted right into my eyes.
It sounds really classy.
It was
It
terrible.
has to stun you into
It was
saying
terrible,
yes.
and it
Classy.
cost him 30 quid for a ring box that was like, and he showed me it, and it literally was an LED beam that was shone right into my eyes. So luckily he didn't use it; it went straight in the bin. That's it for today. Thank you, Paula, for joining
Thank you
us.
very, very much.
We hope you've enjoyed listening, because we certainly enjoyed recording. Of course, if you enjoyed us so much, feel free to give us a rating and let us know what you think. If you have a question for us to answer, or you want to be a guest on our podcast just like Paula, please go to www.howellfilm.co.uk and drop us a line via our contact form. And there's still plenty more to talk about in the world of video marketing. Once again, we're Chris and Izzy from Howell Film, and we help everyone achieve amazing results with the power of video across all platforms of media, including TV, in a professional, creative and engaging way. Couple this with a clear video marketing strategy that puts target audiences first, your campaign is guaranteed to deliver. Of course, never miss an episode every other Tuesday by giving us a follow or subscribe, as well as finding Howell Film on Instagram and LinkedIn. Goodbye for now.
Bye.
Goodbye.